Hello everyone, today we're starting chapter 10. Chapter 10 has to do with area. So let's get started. Our goal for today is I can find the area of circles, rectangles, parallelograms, and triangles. We'll add more figures to tomorrow's lesson. So it says, when you're asked to find the area, what exactly are you looking for? So if I asked you to find the area of any of the figures below, what am I asking you to do? I'm asking you to find how much space there is on the flat surface. I'm asking you to find how much space is there. So how much space is this, or how much space is this, or so on and so forth. Okay, so in this chapter, we will develop formulas for finding the area of each of the following shapes. We have rectangles, parallelograms, triangles, circles, regular polygons, and trapezoids. So we save regular polygons for tomorrow and trapezoids for tomorrow. Let's start with circles. So it says you will likely notice that many of these formulas share similar approaches. Try to use that to understand what you're looking for with each problem. All right, so first off, we have our circle here. So now circle, we're going to not only write down the area formula, but we're also going to write down the circumference formula because we use both a lot. All right, so area formula for a circle is pi r squared. You should know that because we did area of a sector last chapter, and it was pi r squared, which is the circle, times m degrees over 360. Now remember, circumference is the diameter. So like if I wanted just this piece right here, you already know the formula for that. So circumference formula should not be hard to come by either. It is 2 pi r. So usually we see c equals 2 pi r and a equals pi r squared. Also, please keep in mind, think about what 2 times the radius is the same thing as. If I double a radius, so let's draw this in the triangle so you can think about this. Or sorry, this is a circle, not a triangle. If I have a radius right here and I double it, like so, doubling a radius is the same thing as what? Diameter. So pi times diameter is also the formula for circumference that we use. We use both. They're interchangeable, doesn't matter which one you use. So all you have to know in order to do these problems, you have to know that, remember that radius is the distance from the center to any point on the circle. All right, let's find the area on the circumference of each circle. Keep your answer exact. So remember, all that we need is the radius. So let's start with area. Area equals pi times the radius, which is 3 squared. So we have area equals 9 pi, and now we need a unit. This is area. So remember, area is in square units, so this is inches squared. Also notice it says keep your answer exact, so we do not use our calculator for anything. Secondly, I asked you for circumference. Circumference is equal to 2 times pi times radius. Circumference is equal to, once again, we're keeping our answer exact. So if we're keeping our answer exact, we're going to not put pi in our calculator, but we don't even need a calculator for this. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 pi. Remember, circumference is a length, so we have inches. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try the next one. Now, the only difference between the first one I gave you and this one here is that this one gives you diameter and I gave you radius in the first one, but it's obviously very easy to get radius if you have diameter. So here, if the diameter is 10, we know the radius is 5. Therefore, you should have gotten that the area is pi times 5 squared. Keeping my answer exact, I'm going to do that 5 squared. So area equals 25 pi feet squared. And then my circumference. Circumference equals 2 times pi times my radius. Circumference is equal to 10 pi feet. Now, if you said to yourself, could I just use pi times diameter? Absolutely. All right, our next shape is a rectangle. You should know the formula for area of a rectangle. We've used it before. It's, the third grade math that we see coming up a lot. All right, so I have 2 spots for the formula here because depending on what you call this and this, then your formula can change, all right? So sometimes we call this a base and we call this a height. So our area formula would be base times height. But we also sometimes call that a length and a width. So length, width, it could also be length times width. All right, so 2 examples of area of a rectangle here. We have areas equal to, I need the base and the height, so you should be asking yourself, was I given the base? It's blank, but remember rectangle opposite sides are congruent, so yes I was, and I was given the height also. 4 times 3. Area is equal to 12, and then once again, don't forget your units, feet squared. All right, next one. I need my base, not here, so I look up here. Nope, don't have it there either. And my height. So I have to say to myself, okay, I know the formula is area is equal to base times height. Area is equal to, I don't have the base, so I'll leave a blank spot for it, but I do have the height as 5. So now I say, how am I going to get that base? So what do you think I'm going to use to get that base? I'll give you a clue. Remember, this is a right angle right here. If you guessed Pythagorean theorem, you guessed correctly. 5 squared plus, I'll call it x squared equals 13 squared. So this is my unknown right here. I'm looking for it. So Pythagorean theorem, go ahead and do that. 25 plus x squared is equal to 169. Subtract 25 from both sides. X squared is equal to 144 square root. Remember, you don't have to do plus or minus on this because I know my answer is a length. So x is 12. That means my base is 12. So now I just have to multiply these 2 numbers. 12 times 5 is 60. So 60 centimeters squared. All right, the next 2 are find the area of the rectangle, and it's given a coordinate plane. So first thing you're going to have to do is graph those points. So go ahead and pause the video and graph. Just go ahead and graph A and B. All right, so I'll start graphing them. -4, 3. 5, 3. 5, -6. And -4, -6. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and connect these to form my rectangle. All right, remember formula, area of a rectangle, base times height. Now remember, a base and a height are always perpendicular. So if I look right here, I can say that this is my base. I wasn't given how long that is, but I can figure it out because I can count horizontally. So if you look here, if you count this, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, or I could have looked right here and said it's 4 over, so that's 4. I could look here and say this is 5 over, so this is 5, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that is 9 altogether. So my base is 9. So notice I'm counting boxes, I'm not counting tick marks. So 9 times, and now I need the height. You can do the same method, 1, 2, 3, or you can say this is 3 up, so that's 3. This is 6 down, so that's 6. 3 times 6, or sorry, 3 plus 6, that's 9. So the area is 81, and then I still need my units. I wasn't given a unit, so this is units squared. All right, next one, you should already have it graphed, so if you don't, please pause the video and start graphing it. 1, 5, 3, 2, -3, -2, -5, +1. Go ahead and connect your 4 points to form your rectangle. Okay, so you should see a difference here in this problem. I started same exact way, area equals base times height. But now I look and I see that my base is on a diagonal, and so is my height. So I need to find those 2 pieces right there, their length. And I can't just count because they're diagonals. But here's what I can do. I'm going to change my color. I'm going to change it to red, let's say. Is I can go from this point to this point, Instead of going diagonally, I can go vertically and horizontally. So I'm going to start off at this point on the left right here, and I'm going to connect it to this point right here with the vertical and horizontal line. So here is a horizontal line, here is a vertical line. I can count this distance, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 4. I can count this distance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 6. How can I now find that yellow distance? If you guessed Pythagorean theorem, you guessed correctly. So let's go ahead and find that. I'm going to do, remember you're looking for the hypotenuse this time. So I'm going to do 4 squared plus 6 squared equals x squared. 16 plus 36 is equal to x squared. 52 is equal to x squared. Square root both sides. Is the square root of 52 a nice answer? It is not. So I could put it in my calculator and get an ugly decimal, and I could simplify it, but realize I could also hold off and wait. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold off and wait, and I'm just going to say the base is root 52. So area equals square root of 52 for my base times, and now I just need my height. All right, I'm going to change my colors here so that we can do the height now. All right, so height is that orange piece right there. It is also diagonal, but I can make a horizontal and a vertical piece connecting those 2 points. I can say this is 2 and this is 3, and then I can use Pythagorean theorem to find this hypotenuse right here. 2 squared plus 3 squared equals y squared. 4 plus 9 equals y squared. 13 equals y squared, square root, and I get y equals the square root of 13. Once again, I don't know the square root of 13, but I'm just going to put that in right here. All right, now I'm going to pick up my calculator and see what this is. So go ahead and try putting in this in your calculator, but I will tell you this. When you hit the square root button, you have to ask yourself, does a parentheses open right here? If it does, you have to make sure you close it at behind the 2. If one doesn't open and you hit the square root button and it's just 52 like this, just make sure you hit the arrow button to get out of the square root. Then you can hit times and then do the same thing for the square root of 13. If you're having trouble and not getting the same answer as I am, then go ahead and shoot me a message and I will make a quick video showing you how you're supposed to type it. All right, so root 52 times root 13, you should get 26 units squared. So you do end up getting a nice answer. Not always, but on this one you happen to. All right, next we have a parallelogram. So a parallelogram, I want you to think about this here. If I drew a line right here and then traced this triangle and I picked it up, okay, and I moved it. So let me use my scissors here to move it. And I moved it over here. Realize this would now be gone. If you look, what I just made, I know it's not maybe jumping out at you what I just made, but if you look, if I trace it from here to here, and here to here, I just made another rectangle. So a parallelogram and a rectangle have the same exact formula. It's base times height. But what you have to remember is that base and height are always perpendicular. So you're always going to try to use a vertical and a horizontal line. So this would have to be perpendicular right here. So if it was on, graph paper where it was tilted, you would still have to try to pick 2 lines that would be perpendicular and horizontal if you could make them that way. All right, this is your height, and then this whole entire thing is your base. So area equals base times height. All right, let's do 2 examples here. Area equals, I need the base times the height. Area equals, which one's my base, which one's my height? My height's definitely 11, and then I need what's perpendicular to it, so that's my base right there. What's that length? Well, opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent, so it's 14. What's the 16 there for? It has a distractor. 14 times 11. So my area is 154 feet squared. Next one right here, area equals base times height. Area equals, I need my base, I need my height. All right, base, height. All right, base is this whole entire piece right here, so my base is 19. And then this is my height, which is unknown right now. How can I find my height? Pythagorean theorem. You guessed it. X squared plus 6 squared equals 10 squared. X squared plus 36 equals 100. Subtract 36 from both sides. X squared equals 64. Square root, x equals 8. Put an 8 right there. And you got your area is 152 centimeters squared. Okay, so notice all that we have left is we're going to put our parallelograms in on graph paper. So you can go ahead and pause the video and do that, and then we'll do triangles. Okay, so graphing my points, I have -5, -4, -3, +3, 6, +3, and 4, -4. Go ahead and connect those 4 points. You can see that it's a parallelogram. Area equals base times height, so I need the base and I need the height. Okay. So I'm looking for either a vertical or a horizontal piece to start with. And I see that there is a horizontal piece right here. So I'm going to say that's my base. And then I'm going to need my height also. My height has to be something vertical to this, which this is not vertical to that, so that is not my height. But if I take a point from up here and connect it to that base, that is my height. So now I can get my base and my height. My base, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. My base is 9. My height, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The height is 7. My area is 63 units squared. Notice you can abbreviate units with a U. All right, next one. 2, -6, 2, -2, 4, 0, and 4, -4. Area equals base times height. All right, so remember for my base, I'm looking for either a vertical or a horizontal piece. Excuse me. All right, so I see a vertical piece right here. That's what I'm going to say my base is. For my height, I need something perpendicular to that. So I could either call that my height or this my height, but I want it to be a direct distance from the top to the bottom. Seeing that yellow piece is the bottom, that's what I'm going to use as my height. Or red is what I'm going to use as my height. Okay, my base. 1, 2, 3, 4. Height, 1, 2. Area equals 4 times 2. Area is 8 units squared. All right, that's it for parallelograms. Finally, what we're going to move on to is triangles. So if you look at what a triangle is, let's look at a right triangle before I even look at this triangle right here, which is obviously scalene. If you look at what a right triangle it is, right here, it's half of a rectangle. So it has a formula for half of a rectangle. So my formula should not be a big surprise here. It is 1/2 of base times height. Now realize that's the same thing as base times height cut in half or divided by 2. So you can use either formula. Just keep in mind, same idea. Your base is always going to be a vertical or a horizontal piece. So I'm going to use this horizontal piece as my base. And then my height has to be perpendicular to that. So sometimes you're going to have to draw your own height in. All right. Start off with this first one right here. This is a right triangle, so you should have a vertical and a horizontal piece, which we do. So we have our base and height. Area equals base times height, 1/2 of it. Area equals 1/2 the base, 11 times the height, which is 5. So you can enter this in your calculator one of two ways. Well, there's actually 3 ways. You can do 0.5 times 11 times 5. Or you can do 1 divided by 2 times 11 times 5. Or you can do 11 times 5. And then instead of times 0.5, you can divide it by 2, remember. Try all 3 ways. Make sure you're getting the same answer. And you should have 27.5 feet squared. All right, let's look at this one here. Area equals 1/2 base times height. Area equals 1/2. I need the base and I need the height. All right, base is this horizontal piece, that's 8. 7 is not my height. My height is not drawn in, so I'm going to go ahead and draw in my height. So that's vertical to my base. I'm actually going to put my right angle here because it'll make you see what we're going to use easier. All right, so my height's unknown. I'm going to call it x. Now, I can't use Pythagorean theorem to find x because remember, you need 2 out of your 3 sides of your right triangle to find one missing side. But I was given this angle right here is 73. What can I use to find x? If you guessed SOHCAHTOA, you're right. All right, so how is x related? It is the opposite, adjacent, or the hypotenuse? Opposite. What about the side that's 7? Hypotenuse. So now I'm going to go ahead and find x. So I'm going to, opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So sine of 73 degrees is equal to the opposite side, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 7. Solving for a missing side, so I'm going to cross multiply. I get x is equal to 7 times the sine of 73. Don't pick up your calculator yet. What you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to put it in here first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that parentheses there so it fits in here. And that was 7 sine of 73 degrees. All right, now I'll pick up my calculator. In my calculator, I'm going to hit 0.5 instead of 1/2 times 8. So I should be using parentheses when I say times here. Parentheses, 7 sine 73, close the parentheses, enter. Does it give me rounding directions? No, but on my answer key it says round to the nearest tenth if necessary, so 10th place. So that is going to be 26.8 centimeters squared. All right, last 2 are on our graph paper here. So go ahead and pause the video and graph those points. Connect your 3 points. You can see that you do have a triangle. I'm going to write down my formula. Area equals 1/2 base times height. Area equals 1/2. Leave a space for base, leave a space for height. All right, remember for base, I'm looking for either a vertical piece or a horizontal piece. I see that I have a horizontal piece. So that's going to be my base. I can count it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like we really like using 9 apparently. All right, now I need my height. So what you have to remember is that your height is perpendicular to your base. So you can start anywhere on your base. You can start here, 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 here. It doesn't matter where you start. And you're going to go up until you get to the highest, the point the triangle goes. That's your height. So most people end up drawing their height right here because it makes the most sense. But really you can draw it anywhere as long as it goes from the top to the bottom. All right, count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 9 times 3 divided by 2, or 0.5 times 9 times 7, 31.5 units squared. All right, the very last one, negative 6, 1, 0, 1, 4, 5. So this is a very obtuse triangle here, but same idea. Area equals 1/2 base times height. Area equals 1/2. Leave a space for base. Leave a space for height. All right, I'm looking for my base, which is going to either be a vertical or horizontal piece. Got that right there. So I'm going to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I need the height. Remember, you can go from anywhere on the bottom to the highest it goes. So here's the bottom piece. I can say that the height is this much right here. Okay? Or I can start it right here and say the height is this much right here, or here, or here, or here. Or you can come all the way out here and say it's this. But notice those are all the same length. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the height is 4. Area equals 12 units squared. Okay, so that's it for today. Area of those figures. We had a circle, we had a rectangle, a parallelogram, and